Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker, and today we're going to be talking about some recent information that was dropped concerning Lorcana and the upcoming set 7, Archazia's Island, and we've also had some initial art and a name drop for set 9, so we haven't got tons to discuss, but I do think there's some interesting stuff here, and definitely concerning the lore, which I'm very much interested in. I want to start off by saying this is my first time using the green screen since I've moved my room around, so it might not be as clean as it hopefully will be in the future. I've still got to sort out the lighting and move some things around, and that will be a work in progress. Also, address the elephant in the room. We still don't have information concerning Lorcana Worlds, mostly the dates, which a lot of people are voicing that they really want and need to know, which I want to 100% back. If I was a player looking to go to Worlds, I'd be incredibly frustrated to not know when Worlds is going to be, especially if you've got to juggle work, family, whatever your personal situation is. So I'm right there with you. I would love world dates myself because I am hoping to go along as a spectator, and the more time I have to prepare for that, the better. Of course, I would love to be there casting, but realistically, I don't think that's going to happen as much as I would absolutely love it to. So I'm looking to hopefully try and attend as a spectator, and the more time I've got to prepare for that, concerning making sure my mum is looked after and making sure, like, seeing if I can actually save the money to do it. Basically, long story short, I get it. I think we can all agree that Ravensburger are not deliberately holding out on us just to spite us. Clearly, something has gone on at some level, whether that's concerning Ravensburger, the event organisers, Disney. Something has happened where they have not been able to finalise a Worlds Day. I'm assuming that's the case anyway. I don't know. Maybe they do know when it is, and there are other reasons that are stopping them from actually announcing it. I would assume it's that they don't know yet, and while that may be very frustrating, we don't know what's going on in the conversations up at the head offices, etc. We don't know the full context, so it does suck, and I'm very hopeful that we get something concerning Worlds dates soon. And also, we don't have any set 7 card reveals to look at today, or there are none so far. All I can assume is that Ravensburger have decided to make the card reveal season a lot more condensed this time round. Normally we get like long periods stretched out where we're getting fed like reveals as we go over a number of weeks. Clearly that's not the way they want to do it this time. I imagine that might have something to do with a popular theory that's going around the Lorcana community concerning a new card type that we might be getting in Archazia's Island. Certainly has been hinted through the art. I'm going to be taking a look at some of that today. Regardless of the reason, personally, I don't mind if it is more condensed and we don't start seeing cards until closer to the set actually being revealed. I know other people feel differently, and that's absolutely fine, but personally, I'm okay with it. But we do have some stuff that we can take a look at that was recently revealed. And we'll start off by taking a look at this short video that was posted on the Disney Lorcana Twitter account, and features my boy, fellow caster, Ed, who took a trip down to the toy fair. So let's hear what was going on.
Take a look at the Ravensburger stand and some Disney Lorcana goodies at the London Toy Fair.
Oh,
the first exciting thing we've got to show you is the new set, Archazia's Island. Disney's Bolt and Lady and the Tramp have been added to the world of Disney Lorcana. On display, we have the single-player starter decks, the display booster box for Archazia's Island, and also the new Lilo and Stitch gift box set. Available March 7th. And there seems to be someone new in Disney Lorcana. After Archazia's Island, Reign of Jafar. Coming June 6th, 2025, with pre-release events starting May 30th, 2025. Jafar has taken over Archazia's Island, corrupting the beautiful haven into his menacing fortress.
Good on him.
Behold, Disney Lorcana Fabled, coming in the third quarter of 2025. There's powers in the tales we tell, and whether this is your first time playing Disney Lorcana, or you want to team up with others, there's something for everyone in Fabled.
So, let's discuss all of that. First of all, 30th of May will be the pre-release for The Reign of Jafar. I cannot wait. Will you be supporting The Reign of Jafar? Let me know down in the comments. But yes, before then, we have Archazia's Island, set 7. When me and Spessy revealed this in the stream, I was told it was pronounced Archazia, but I've since heard it pronounced multiple times by people that include Ryan Miller, that it is Archazia. So that is what we'll be going with. And yeah, this is our first like big piece of art that we've had revealed. There was also the Lady and the Tramp art that was dropped at the North American Championships, which looked beautiful, and super hyped to get Lady and the Tramp coming into the Lorcana trading card game. I would say this is the most interesting image that we've had revealed so far, and we are going to dive deep into everything here, but I want to come back to that closer to the end. Let's start off by taking a look at the packaging that's been revealed. So we can see here Bolt, who is also going to be coming to Lorcana in Set 7. I still need to watch the film. And that was one of the first pieces of art that we ever got. And yeah, we were told very specifically, by me I mean me and Spessy, who obviously revealed these in the European Championship stream. We were told very deliberately to tell people to look closely at this artwork, which was just this bolt, and pay close attention, and it might give them some hints as to something coming to the Lorcana trading card game. Now, we know perfectly well that the artists always make a point of including something in the artwork that is representative of the ink colour that card is specifically in. There are examples of this in nearly every single Lorcana card, but one of my favourites, this Simba Pride Protector by Kendall Hale with the amber glyphs. I don't know if you would call it tattooed on his body, but regardless, you see my point. This is a very common thing in Lorcana. And here on this bolt art, we see that his collar is very reminiscent of the amber style, but he's also wearing these pretty cool looking steel arm bracelets and shoulder bracelets. I don't know if that's actually what you'd call them. And then this steel pendant on the collar. So very early on, players were speculating that Archazia's Island may bring in our first ever dual ink type cards. Now that theory is not confirmed by any means, but it's what I think's coming personally. And if we look at more characters through the art style for this set, then maybe we get more indications of potentially having dual inks. But yeah, to finish looking at this packaging, we've got this Mirabelle here right in the middle. We've also got the Mad Hatter over here, who's a favourite of mine. And the theme of this set is, you saw the tagline, learn new tricks, and there is absolutely an emphasis on animals. And you've got the Mad Hatter here, who is actually part of the current narrative of Lorcana, which we're going to talk about a bit towards the end. So my lovers of the lore, there's something for you coming later on in the video. But I do believe that this teapot that the Mad Hatter is opening here, we're not seeing it in this art, but I imagine the Dormouse is going to be on here somewhere. And of course, March Hare comes hand in hand with the March Hare, who is an animal. We've also got this Iago down here. You love to see it. We've had an Iago that was revealed for Set 8, Reign of Jafar, or a promo version of that Iago. But this is the Archazia's Island version, so super looking forward to seeing what this card does. It's also on the starter deck that we're going to take a look at in a moment. And another character who's also on one of the starter decks that we're going to take a look at in a moment is this Inventor Belle. And it is not the first time we have seen this Inventor Belle. Where have we seen her before? Here she is from Chapter 1, Belle, Inventive Engineer. And yeah, this is absolutely the same character, 100%. I'm going to assume that the one that we're seeing on the art for Archazia's Island is going to be a Floodborn version. Might not, but regardless, it's the same Belle. There's also this art right in the corner here. This is clearly one of the ships that the Illumiteers are using for the narrative. But perhaps this ends up being a location, probably another unique location, specifically for Lorcana's narrative. But nonetheless, looking super cool. And now we move on to the Trove art. This is the exact same Mirabelle, but with a different background. So that's immediately quite interesting. This looks like the same Mad Hatter. Although this one on the box looks like his eye line is facing the player, whereas this one, he's looking up. You can see the March Hare on the left-hand side here of the Hatter. And yeah, with this teapot, and I imagine this is going to be the Dormouse that's shooting into the air here. And of course, once again, we see Bolt. Moving on now to the starter decks that we're going to be getting. So here she is again. Here is that Belle. And definitely giving vibes of both Sapphire and again, we're seeing this amber patternry here. So is this going to be an amber Sapphire Belle? And then we've got this beast here with his monocle. What an absolute G. He's doing some, what's it called? geology. I think that's the word I'm looking for, but he's got his rock. And is this like a feather quill pen of some description? Nonetheless, he appears to be following in Bell's footsteps and becoming something of a scientist. He's something of a scientist himself, did you know? But is this also going to be amber sapphire, or is this going to be, in my opinion, far more likely ruby sapphire? Which are the ink combinations for this starter deck in general. So yeah, this is looking super cool. And the other, clearly my favourite, we've got that Iago who we saw the art for on the main box art. And then we see this Jafar. We know that the reign of Jafar is coming. And I imagine this is the final point in the Archazia Island storyline before Jafar actually begins his rule. This is him fully assembling the Hexwell crown, which we've seen that the crown glows different depending on who's wearing it. Looks slightly different when Ursula was wearing it, and now we've got Jafar here. Are these both going to be Amethyst Steel cards? Again, this is all based on the theory, which is a theory that I share, that we're getting dual ink colours in the next set. That is not confirmed by any means. This is, I'm mixing fact with speculation throughout this video, so important to determine that. I think that this Bell and Beast one, I think that Beast is going to be Ruby Sapphire, and that the Bell will be Amber Sapphire. And in that vein, I see these two being different ink combinations as well. I think the Iago will be the Amethyst Steel, and I think the Jafar will be Amethyst Ruby. That's my early prediction. Once again, though, it is not even confirmed that we are getting dual inks. That is purely a theory. Worth mentioning, we've already seen the play mats, the sleeves, and the deck boxes that are coming. Shout out to Musha Report, who I'm using for this part of the video. But yeah, we're getting these two sleeves. Beautiful. Love them. Love the deck boxes. And then these two mats, they're like, the Tigger is like the clear winner for me, but this We Could Be Immortals mat is, normally I want very clearly one of the two mats, and I don't go out of my way to get both usually. But here, I will absolutely be picking up both because I think both of these are super, super cool. But yeah, this Tigger in the Crow's Nest, man, I love him so much. And that brings us along to the announcement of Set 9 coming Q3 2025, the last set we'll get of this year, which is called Fabled. And just look at this artwork, man. It is so, so good. I've got to say, I just want to say, like, while there are absolutely... there is fair criticism out there towards Lorcana as a whole, and there are definitely things that can be improved on, 100%. But I'll be honest, mate, like, so often, whenever there's an announcement about what Lorcana are doing next or in the future, I just get so, so excited. I am so satisfied so much of the time. And some people are just going to say that I'm a shill, and cool, if that's what you think, then that's what you think. But this is how I was well before I got the call to start casting. Like, yes, there is absolutely room for criticism. There are things that I would like to see improved in the future. But by and large, I think Lorcana absolutely knocks it out of the park all the time. I am just consistently so excited for its future, and this is amazing. So yeah, Fabled, welcome to the story. So there's some theory to discuss here. First of all, this art style, is this representative of the overall art style for the entire set? This is very reminiscent of like the Brave Little Tailor Mickey. Is this going to be an overall art style for the set, and all the cards are going to be drawn in this way? Is this an enchanted, and it is the enchanted style for the set, so all the enchanted will be this way? Or is this specifically for the Mickey and for this one card, in the same way that we had like the Brave Little Tailor card that was like very clearly in like, it was that art style from Brave Little Tailor, like paying homage to its roots, whereas everything else was in a bit more of a traditional art style. I am so hopeful that this is either the enchanted style, so we get more cards in this style, or even just do the whole set in this style. I am perfectly happy with that, 100%. And there's a theory that we can dive into here, because it says welcome to the story, and obviously the art like paying homage to the roots of Disney and the older art styles. And there could be room here, and again, I'm reaching and I'm super speculating here, but that's what we do. There is a black hole in Lorcana's timeline, We know that the Illuminary was created and then originally lived in by the Curator, who was the one who first brought the original Illumineers to the Great Illuminary to begin recording lore and safeguarding the stories and summoning glimmers. At some point in time, that Curator disappears and we have no information about that. When we come into the story, which is the first chapter, it is meant to be further on in the timeline. So there's a big hole of lore that could potentially be filled in. And I do think I'm reaching a bit here. I'm not saying, oh, I think this is a really likely theory, but it's a theory that I'm a fan of. That this set is going to specifically go back and tell some of that initial story from the creation of the Great Illuminary, taking us through a little bit of the story towards when we came into it in the first chapter. That's my theory that I'm going with. And then someone else on Twitter, and I'll give them their credit, Nathan Mortland, commented on a post of mine saying that Jafar might win after the reign of Jafar, set 8, and send them all back in time. Cinema. Pure cinema. Nathan, I love the theory. I hope you're right. I really, really do. Of course, the idea of Jafar winning is based on the theory that we are hopefully back gold. Hopefully going to get another Illumineers quest similar to Deep Trouble, the one we had for Ursula. If we do not get a Jafar Illumineers quest alongside Reign of Jafar or Archasia's Island, whatever, then it would be Reign of Jafar. Then I'm going to be so upset. I want it so much. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We need to get to that point yet. The Reign of Jafar has not begun yet. First of all, we need to travel to Archasia's Island. So let's go back to this artwork that has been revealed. So first of all, this mysterious figure right in the middle here, wearing a mask. This mask is also a symbol that we've seen before, not only because it is the lore symbol in Lorcana, but specifically we have seen this mask in Lorcana art in the past. It's on a map. We'll get there in a moment. Definitely giving off Decidui vibes. I'm not gonna lie, but hey, I'm all about it. He looks great. This is most likely Archasia. It's not confirmed. Again, there's a mask here, and maybe he doesn't always wear it. Maybe the mask is Archasia, and this is like a follower of Archasia, or a descendant, something like that. There is room for that. I think that's less likely. I think because Lorcana storylines tend to be short, like you get an arc per 4 sets, right? But each part of that set tends to be a specific part of that story. And because we're going into Archasia's Island, which is set 3, and we know set 4 is Reign of Jafar, I feel like they're going to wrap up the Archasia stuff in this set. If they were planning on like extending it further, then maybe there's a chance that this isn't Archasia and it's a descendant, and like we continue to unravel that mystery over time. But as it stands, I would predict that this is going to be Archasia. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the design, and again, the mask being reminiscent of a lore pip is super cool. But let's dive deeper into this image. So first of all, we see Pongo being followed by some Dalmatians over here. No huge surprise. Of course, we're going to get some more Dalmatians in a animal heavy centric themed set. On the left hand side over here, we of course see Alice, who has already been mentioned in the narrative for this 4-set story, shall we call it. There's a story that's been released about Alice on the official Disney Lorcana website, which we'll take a short look at in a little while. But she is also accompanied by Martin. Martin did nothing wrong, by the way, but great to see Martin front and center. In the background over here, we see Beast and Belle. I think these are probably going to be the same versions that we've seen art for already that are on the starter decks. And this is definitely Mrs. Potts, and I think this is Cogsworth that's following them. Maybe Lumiere's there too, and is just slightly shielded by this beam of energy going by, but I think we'll probably going to be getting another Mrs. Potts as well. And also, nobody panic, but this is 100% Bucky, just clearly getting up to some mischief. Is it going to be a floodboard, and suddenly we will have a reason to play the errated Bucky? That could be certainly interesting. But the absolutely biggest thing on this artwork And the thing I've seen commented on the absolute most, over here, we have Yao, Ling, Chenpo, Mulan, and if that ain't Mushu, my guys, the time has come. I would say 100% they are not putting Mushu on this art unless he is going to be in this set. People have been screaming for Mushu since the beginning of the game, and it does seem that finally he is set to make his appearance. Are you excited? So if you're not too caught up on the lore and you're thinking to yourself, who is Archazia and why are the Illumiteers making their way to this island in the first place, it all goes back to Shimmering Skies and the first bit of the story that we got concerning that. At the end of this video, I'm going to include it's an 8-minute video which is me narrating 3 of the lore stories that were revealed on the Disney Lorcana website alongside Shimmering Skies. So if you want a more detailed version of the events and you don't want to read it, of course go and read it if you prefer, but at the end of the video I've included some narration. But just to give you the cliff note, Shimmering Skies is the celebration that Ursula was defeated, and while the festivities were going on, the great illuminary suddenly began to crumble, and pieces of it started falling from the sky. One piece in particular hit Merlin, and he got a sudden vision, which is the art depicted on Vision of the Future. Merlin recruits a few glimmers to go to the Greater Luminary and investigate and see what might be going on. In their travels, Basil and Martin find the Amber Chromicon, a very powerful artifact. Inside a hidden room, Scrooge McDuck is able to find a map, and we can see on this map there is the logo, the symbol of the owl that we can see is being worn as a mask on that figure that we believe is Archazia. A Moana Glimmer sees the map and immediately realizes that it isn't leading them through the Greater Luminary, but leading them across a sea. Merlin and the Glimmers then find another secret room as represented on the artwork for gathering knowledge and wisdom. They find another powerful artifact in the Sapphire Chromicon. And as Merlin then sees the map that Scrooge McDuck has, he has another vision which makes him realise that these events that have led the Greater Luminary to begin crumbling are clearly all part of a bigger picture. So that is what makes the Glimmers and the Illumineers decide to travel across the Azurite Sea and try to find Archazia's island. Meanwhile, Jafar is trying to find both halves of the Hexwell crown. I want to give a plug here to the Illumiteers, who have a 9-minute video which talks all about the Hexwell crown, from Ursula having it all the way to Jafar trying to seek the Hexwell crown. They actually asked me to do some voice acting for that video, so I play Jafar in it. That'll be linked down below. Do please go check that out. It's a wonderful video. But essentially, Jafar hypnotizes Basil and recruits him to help him find the Hexwell crown. Of course, one piece is already in the Greater Luminary, being protected by the Glimmers and Illumineers. Basil uses his intellect to break the security vices that are protecting the Hexwell crown, brings it to Jafar, who realizes that it is very powerful, but with both halves, he could potentially rule all of Lorcana. Then on the artwork for seeking the half crown, we see him using one half to track down the other, which he sees in the Inklands, and sends Basil to get that piece as well. Basil, of course, does as commanded, but on the artwork for Hypnotized Mouse, we see this artwork here with the flavor text, footprints from a large owl with droplets of water. Clearly some avian menace has crossed the Azurite Sea and has absconded with the crown. So we see here that clearly Archazia, or probably Archazia, made their way over to the Inklands and found the other half of the crown, and I think they've taken it back to Archazia's island, and that's what's going to result in Jafar getting to Archazia's island as well. Also worth noting that when this yokai was first revealed on the Disney Lorcana Twitter, it came with a short lore paragraph which basically said that Jafar has also put yokai under his hypnotic command, and also has him looking for the other half of the crown. So I imagine he'll come back into the story at some point. We of course also have 2 locations from Lorcana cards, both the Perilous Maze, which we saw in the story trailer, and Owl Island secluded entrance. So this has been hinted for a while that owls were very important to this particular story arc, and yeah, that's basically all we know, other than I haven't voice acted these stories, although I'm planning to. That will come in the future, but there are 2 stories posted on the Disney Lorcana website specifically to do with the Azurite Sea story. This one is Smee's schemes. The long and the short of it is that Smee finds Tinkerbell, captures her, takes her back to the ship to give to Captain Hook, just to he loves his captain and he wants his captain to be happy. It says here the captain was sure to commend him. So steals Tinkerbell, takes her to Captain Hook. Captain Hook is rifling through some crates that they recently stole from a ship that they encountered recently, being run by a pair of rather dapper ducks. And we see here that in this art, Captain Hook is looking through these crates and they include maps. And this map here also has this logo of Archazia. Could this mean that this is the same map that Scrooge McDuck was holding in his artwork and that was referenced in the story before? Regardless, when he comes across this map and has Tinkerbell trapped, Captain Hook locks himself away for weeks, doesn't want to do any pirating, which is very frustrating to Mr. Smee and all the other pirates. So Mr. Smee sneaks into the captain's quarters and releases Tinkerbell purely in the hope that if she's gone, maybe Captain Hook will stop focusing so much on this map and he'll get back to some honest pirating. So Smee releases Tinkerbell, she escapes, and then she uses pixie dust to basically raise everything in the captain's quarters up into the air, and most specifically, to take and steal the map. So if this is the exact same map that Scrooge McDuck had, then I'm guessing that Scrooge and company were encountered by Captain Hook, who boarded their ship, took anything of value, which included some crates, found this map, had it for a while, and then Peter Pan was sent to basically get it back. There's probably more to the story, but that's basically all we have right now. And then there's this other one with Alice, which is literally as simple as one of the Mad Hatter's teacups gets lost at sea. So he builds a makeshift boat out of the materials available, gives Alice one of the pieces of cake to make her shrink, and sends her off into the ocean to get his teacup back. Oh, Mad Hatter, I love you so. But yeah, she takes off trying to find this teacup, and in her journey, she comes across the perilous maze that we know is not far from Archazia's island, and decides to start exploring it. And we saw from the artwork with who we assume to be Archazia that she is front and center involved in that. So that's all the pieces of the puzzle that we have so far. If I've missed any, let me know down below. And do you have any theories you'd like to share, whether it's to do with the lore or just specifically to the Disney Lorcana trading card game mechanics based off clues and things that we've seen so far? Any speculation that we've got, I'd love to hear it down below. But that's pretty much going to be it. We're going to end on, I'm going to play that 8-minute video, which is basically 3 short lore stories to do with Shimmering Skies, and I've added some music. So if you're into that sort of thing, then hopefully you enjoy it. But if not, thank you for watching this far. Please hit the like button if you've enjoyed the video, and we'll see you soon. A vision of discovery. Merlin never enjoyed getting hit on the head. This time, however, was quite fortuitous. Yes, he supposed that he, and the rest of those celebrating Ursula's defeat, had been spared any injuries when the great Illuminary's crumbling tower came crashing down. But shortly thereafter, a tiny piece of the tower had struck this Merlin Glimmer directly on his wizened head, sending him into a vision of magical artifacts and a gloriously restored Illuminary. Martin and a very clever Basil Glimmer were the first to locate one of these mystical items, an amber chromacon inside a secret room within the Hall of Lorcana. This gave everyone hope that with a bit of diligent searching, anyone could uncover the rest of the hidden chromacons. Venturo, being quite sensible, sent Merlin to lead a group to cover more ground. One particular Scrooge McDuck Glimmer, having shrewdly acquired a map from the first hidden room, was a natural choice for Merlin's search party. Scrooge's nephew Donald invited himself along, but even with the assistance of his massive magnifying glass, the Glimmers spent far too much time studying the map to discover a hidden room of their own. It took a passing Moana glimmer to pull the proverbial rug out from under them. She was searching the Hall of Lorcana herself, a blazing torch in hand and a keen look in her eye. She only needed a glance at the map to tell it wasn't a guide through the Illuminary. Rather, it was pointing them elsewhere, toward a sea? Moana scanned the room for clues and stopped in front of a bookshelf. Then, something odd happened. Her torch's flames bent sideways towards a thin line that ran between two bookshelves. Merlin rushed to the wall and let his spindly fingers trace the line until he found a small recess. There was a soft click, and to the group's astonishment, a door carefully camouflaged as a bookcase rotated open with a low groan. The moment Merlin peeked inside, several tiny spheres glowed to life. By now, the entire group had joined him. Together they tiptoed into the room. On the other side of the chamber was a table where lay a deep blue jewel set in a gold frame. Merlin could feel the knowledge radiating from it, the sapphire chromacon. Just then, Moana turned round with a puzzled look on her face. Merlin glanced at the doorways just in time to see a tall, slender silhouette dart away. Moana was across the room in the blink of an eye, but after a few tense moments, she returned and shook her head slowly. Well then, this item deserved even more of Merlin's attention if shadowy figures were lurking about. He cleared his mind and looked at the azure light wafting up from the chromacon. By chance, he glanced at the map gripped tightly in Scrooge's hand and noticed a strange symbol at its corner. Immediately, a whirling pattern of visionary light issued from his cap and unfurled before his view. Merlin's eyes widened. It became blindingly obvious that their presumed mission to repair the Illuminary was part of something larger, much larger. But that was a matter for the future. Right now, it was enough to feel the excitement of finding a long-lost magical artifact. So he set off with his fellow Glimmers to deliver the Sapphire Chromacon to Venturo back at the celebration grounds. Only this time, Merlin would keep at least one eye on the sky above. Days and Nights of Peace. Not far over the misty hills of Lorcana, there is a fortress that rests upon pillars of seeming giants. From afar, the fortress looks rather small, but upon reaching its carved doors, it looms large and imposing. These decorative figures on either side of the door are smaller depictions of the pillared giants, now gazing admirably at an image of a serene maiden. Hark! A rhythmic chant sounds from deep inside, growing louder with each steady syllable. As something nears the door, a terrible question arises. Were these doors meant to keep threats out, or to keep threats locked within? With a rumble, the massive door swings open until it comes to a rest with a boom. Out marches a procession of knights, 7 in number and noble of appearance. Their armour glints as they cross the well-trodden bridge, their marching song ringing through the canyon of a reluctant king who called for a celebration beneath a bruised illuminary, of a crown that was far too large for his young brow, and of his royal charge to protect the land surrounding the festival grounds, for the dark never sleeps. As the song draws to a close, almost all of the knights chuckle, for one of them is impervious to laughter. They nod to each other in turn and march in separate directions. Each has his charge to maintain peace in the realm, even though the Sea Witch has been defeated and the heroic Illumiteers and their Glimmers are enjoying a much-needed moment of revelry. And so the knights depart, resolutely for their appointed stations to keep watch over the land. All of the knights, that is, except for one, because although the dark may never sleep, one of these knights is already snoring. The After Party. An epilogue. Fascinating. All the clues lead to an empty room? The Basil Glimmer was perplexed. In the distance, he could still hear the sounds of the celebration, which was already beginning to wind down. The room was dark, one of many curious places in the Great Illuminary. Hadn't he just told Dawson the other day that one could wander these halls for 100 years and still not see everything? Basil stepped into the room, his eyes quickly adjusting to the darkness. It wasn't entirely empty. An old lectern lay on its side in the middle of the room, and a few dried out strands of seaweed wafted in the breeze from the newly opened door. The smell of salt lingered in the air. He turned to leave. Leaving so soon? The voice had all the menace of a coiled viper. Basil stopped as a larger glimmer slid out of the shadows, holding a snake-like staff. The staff's eyes began to glow. The Hexwell crown. You have a piece of it. Show me, the other glimmer demanded. Basil's hand acted almost on its own, producing the minuscule scrap of the crown that he'd found earlier. Now, my minuscule companion, you will find the rest of it and bring it to me. I will bring the crown too. The words escaped Basil's lips before he had a chance to think. Wait, what if I can't bring it? I will have that crown. If acquiring it is beyond your meager skills, then you will tell me where it is, and I shall obtain it myself. Basil's feet were already moving. He felt his considerable mind go blank. Yes, he would find the crown, just like he was asked. The Jafar glimmer smiled as he watched the little mouse depart. I must have patience. Let the fools celebrate. Once I have the Hexwell crown, Lorcana shall be mine.